In this video, we're going to go over some of the review problems from the Unit 1B test review. And so some of these are not the ones that you were given answers to, so we wanted to go over these and kind of explain a thing or two to you as well. So you're going to see problems like this where we've got angle relationships. We've done a few of these in the notes and on other assignments. We're just identifying the angle relationships based on where they are according to these parallel lines. So we are, again, using those angle relationships of corresponding angles, alternate interior, alternate exterior, consecutive interior, linear pairs, and vertical angles. If it's not one of those six, we just write the word none. If there is no direct relationship that is one of those six, we write none. So angles 1 and 2, you'll see they are lined up on the same side of this line M, and they're right next to each other. One's an acute angle, two's an obtuse angle. That's my clue that they're going to add up to 180, which means, in this case, that they are a linear pair. Okay, they're linear pair angles. Okay, 5 and 8. 5 and 8 are on the same side of this transversal line, but one's up at this intersection, the other one's down here. They're both interior. We call those consecutive interior angles. 4 and 8 are right across from each other at the same intersection. The only thing they have in common is the vertex, and so we call those vertical angles. They're opposite from each other. 2 and 4 are on the same side of this transversal, but they're both exterior angles. That's not a known angle pair, so we write none. 7 and 5 are on alternate sides of the transversal, and they are interior angles, so those are alternate interior angles. Okay, and then 2 and 3 are on opposite sides of the transversal, but they are exterior angles, so they are alternate exterior angles. And then 5 and 3, the last pair here, they're both on the same side of the transversal, and they're both on the same side of their respective one of the parallel lines. They're both below a parallel line. So they're really in the same position, just at different intersections, so we call those corresponding angles. Okay, if at any point you need to pause the video to copy things down, then go ahead and pause. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going through. So on number 2, it says to mark all sets of congruent angles on the picture. And so this is also a review of how we mark congruent angles. Well, all of the acute angles have to be congruent. Okay, they're going to end up being the same thing. So I'm going to mark those 2 angles congruent, and they're going to be congruent to these 2 as well. Okay? But the other sets of angles, the obtuse angles, are also congruent, so I'm going to use a different marking, a double line, for all of those. So those are all congruent angles. Okay, for number 3, it says to choose 2 angles that are not congruent, so one of the single markings, one of the doubles, and give their relationship. So I'm just going to pick 2, like the 1 and the 2 here. Okay, angle 1 and angle 2. Okay, they are not congruent. They are supplementary because they are a linear pair. Okay, and you could have chosen a lot of different options here. I just happened to choose that one. Okay, number 4, all of that is a bold numbered problem. You're going to find those answers in the back. So we're going to skip that. We're going to look at this page where we have all these non-bolded questions. So we're going to start to go through these. Okay, number 5, we are given information about angles 5 and 8. And you'll notice what I do on all of these is I'm going to circle the numbers for the angles we're using. That way I can avoid all of the other information and just focus on those 2 angles. So in this one I'm using angle 5 and angle 8. Angle 5 and angle 8. We want to identify the angle relationship first with that property, okay, and then use that to set up an equation with the given information. Well, 5 and 8 are consecutive interior angles, and consecutive interior angles, remember, are supplementary. Okay, that means they add up to 180. So again, you might write this as a clue to yourself. Angle plus angle equals 180 is how we're going to set this up. So I'm going to take the 2 expressions, 11x plus 11, and add it to the other expression, 6x plus 16, to equal 180. When you have all of your terms on the same side of the equal sign, remember we combine like terms. We don't cancel anything on this side yet. We put all the like terms together. We do 11x plus 6x. Okay, we don't subtract 6x. We do 11x plus 6x is 17x. And then 11 plus 16 is 27. So we're just combining like terms. to make that a more simple equation. Now we can start to cancel things on this side to get x by itself. So I would subtract 27 first. Okay, when we subtract 27, we get that 17x equals, hold on, let me get my calculator. $17x, when I do 180 minus 27, I get 153. And then I divide that by 17. If I divide by 17 on both sides, I get x equals 9. All right, so x is 9. And I want to use that here to find the measure of angle 8. So I'm going to go back up to angle 8. Okay, angle 8 is 6x plus 16. So I'm going to do 6 times 9 plus 16. And I can do that all in my calculator at once. I can do 6 parentheses 9 plus 16, just like it looks on paper. And I get 70 degrees. So the measure of angle 8 is 70 degrees. So I'm not going to take as much time explaining these as I work these out, but that's kind of the process. Either you're going to set the angles to add up to equal 180 if they're supplementary, or we're going to set them equal to each other if they are in fact congruent. And so as we go to the next one, number 6, I've got the measure of angle 7 equals 24x plus 4, so I'm going to circle my 7. And angle 3 is 100. Okay, so they just give you the degrees for that one. So the property is the fact that these are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. So I'm going to do angle equals angle. Okay, so on number 7, the first angle is 24x plus 4 equals, the other angle is just 100. Now I've got a very simple equation here. This is just a two-step equation. I've only got two things I have to do. I don't need to combine any like terms. There's only one x term, so I'm going to start by subtracting 4. So 24x equals 96. And if I do 96 divided by 4, because I divided by 24 on both sides, okay, if I do 96 divided by 24, I get x equals 4. And then it wants the measure of angle 7. Well, they're vertical angles. The measure of angle 7 is already equal to the measure of angle 3, and I know that answer. That's just 100. I can plug it in. I can do 24 times 4 plus 4. I'm still going to get 100. Okay? All right, so as we go through this, again, I'm going to go a little more quickly. Circle the angles we're using. For number 7, we're going to use 6 and 8. Those are alternate interior angles, which are congruent. So we do angle equals angle. So 21x minus 3 equals 19x plus 3. Subtract 19x from both sides first, because we want to get the x just on one side. 21 minus 19 is 2x. Then I add 3 to cancel that. So I add 3 to the other side. 2x equals 6. Divide by 2. And x equals 3. Okay, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So they want the measure of angle 8. So I go back to the expression for angle 8, and I'm going to do 19 times 3, because that's what x equals, then plus 3. And when I simplify all of that, I get 60. So the measure of angle 8 is 60 degrees. On number 8, again, we want to just use the two angles we're given, angle 2 and angle 3. Angle 2 and angle 3 are alternate exterior angles. And they are also congruent. So we know angle equals angle. So 37x minus 1 equals 36x plus 2. Subtract 36x from both sides. 37 minus 36 is just 1, or I can just call it x. Then I have my minus 1 equals 2. Add the 1 to both sides, and x equals 3 again. Then I'm going to plug that in up here for one of the two angles. They want angle 3, so I plug into that. 36 times 3 plus 2. Do that all at once is 110. Okay? All right. Moving forward, we're going to take a look at these bottom two. On number 9, these are a little bit different because I give you two specific angles to use at first, then I ask you about a different angle, okay? So we're going to circle these two, angle 1 and angle 2. That's a linear pair relationship. So the property of 1 and 2 is linear pair angles are supplementary, which means angle plus angle equals 180. So I'm going to set that up. 40x for one of them plus 100 for the other one equals 180. And I'm going to use that to jump down here and solve for x first before I answer the rest of the questions. So I subtract 100 from both sides, and 40x equals 80. Divide by 40 on both sides, and x is just 2. Okay? Then, in order to answer the question, to find the measure of angle 6, I want to answer this question. Which of these two angles is angle 6 congruent to? Well, that'd be angle 1, because they're vertical angles. So that's the property that makes them congruent. Okay? So to find the measure of angle 6, I'm going to plug it into the measure of angle 1, which is 40 times the x value of 2, which is 80. So the measure of angle 6 is also 80 degrees. And then finally, number 10, the same idea here applies. We're going to circle the angles we're using, angle 2 and angle 7. Those are corresponding angles. That should say property of angle 2 and angle 7, not 1 and 2. That was just a typo. Okay, this should also say angle 3 here. Some copies of your review may still say angle 6, but that should be an angle 3. Okay? So 2 and 7 are corresponding angles, which have to be congruent. So angle equals angle. So 2x equals 21x plus 5. Sorry, 22x equals 21x plus 5. Then we subtract 21x from both sides. Well, that's just x equals, the only thing left on that side is 5. So that already gives me x equals 5. Now we want to answer these questions because it asks about the measure of angle 3. Which of these two angles is directly equal to angle 3? This one's kind of a trick question because both of them are. Okay, I could say angle 3 and angle 7 are congruent because they are vertical angles. Okay, or I could say angle 3 and angle 2 are congruent because they are alternate exterior angles. Okay, so either one's going to be fine. So to find the answer for the angle 3 question, I'm going to say that's the same as either one of them. I'm going to say it's the same as angle 2, which is 22x, or 22 times 5. And 22 times 5 is 110 degrees. Okay, so that kind of covers these questions that were not, where I didn't give you the answers. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how to do the rest of these, and good luck on your test.